What if the strongest woman you know is also the loneliest? She's always there for everyone, but no one is ever there for her. It is far better to be alone than to be in bad company, George Washington. But what if you find yourself always alone, not because you prefer it, not because you don't try, but because somehow along the way you stop being seen? There is a woman who walks quietly through the world. She sits in meetings, she nods in conversations, she posts polite comments on social media, she smiles when someone passes her by. But no one asks her how she's really doing. Her phone rarely rings, no messages light up her screen. She is a woman with no friends, and before we judge her, before we write her off as cold or distant or not the type, we must ask, what happened? Loneliness can exist even in a world full of people, and it often hides behind strong faces. We live in a time more connected than ever. Messages can travel across the globe in seconds. We scroll through hundreds of faces each day. We hear laughter through walls, see pictures of crowded dinner tables, watch celebrations from afar. And yet someone can sit in the middle of all this, at work, at a family gathering, in a classroom, even at home, and feel completely invisible, because loneliness isn't always loud. It doesn't always look like tears or isolation. Sometimes it wears makeup, shows up early, delivers the project, remembers everyone's coffee orders, and laughs at the right moments. Sometimes it's the woman who organizes everything so no one notices that no one ever invites her, the one who listens intently, who gives thoughtful advice, who supports everyone, yet no one really knows her. Strong faces often carry the heaviest silence. These women learn to keep going. They wake up, show up, dress up, they speak with confidence, handle problems with grace, and hold space for others. And yet when the room empties and the lights go down, they sit alone with a different kind of heaviness, the one that whispers, "No one really knows me, no one truly sees me." It's easy to assume that strength means someone doesn't need anyone, but that's a lie we've all swallowed too often. Some of the strongest people you know are the loneliest. They've learned how to survive without support, not because they don't want it, but because they've been disappointed too many times, reached out and been ignored, opened up and been hurt. So they built walls that look like success. They built routines that look like self-sufficiency. They built masks that look like happiness. And they wear them so well that even they forget what's underneath. This is the kind of loneliness that's hardest to notice, because the world rewards strength, not softness. It applauds the woman who never complains, who holds it all together, but inside she's tired, not just physically but emotionally, tired of pretending she's fine, tired of being the one everyone counts on, but never the one anyone checks in on. So yes, loneliness can exist even when you're surrounded by people. It can grow in the spaces where connection should live. It can live behind smiles, behind "I'm okay," behind titles like mother, wife, leader, helper. It hides behind strong faces not because those faces don't feel, but because they've been taught not to show, because somewhere along the way they learned that to be accepted, they had to be fine, to be admired, they had to be invincible. But strength is not the absence of need, it's the courage to name it. And sometimes the strongest thing a woman can do is say, "I'm lonely," not because she's weak, but because she's ready for truth, for healing, for real connection. And maybe, just maybe, that one quiet truth is the beginning of everything she's been missing. Friendship isn't about quantity but about genuine connection and understanding. In a world that often counts success in numbers, followers, likes, group chats, party invites, It's easy to believe that the more people we surround ourselves with, the more loved we must be. We're shown images of tight-knit circles, laughter around tables, birthday posts filled with tags and captions, and we start to equate popularity with intimacy. But the truth is, some of the loneliest moments happen in crowds. You can be surrounded by dozens of people, attend gatherings every weekend, reply to countless messages, and still feel deeply alone because none of it touches your heart. Real friendship isn't measured by how many people know your name, but by who truly knows you, who sees past the surface, who hears your silence as loudly as your words, who notices when your smile doesn't reach your eyes. A genuine friend doesn't need daily contact or dramatic gestures. What they offer is much more rare: presence, depth, truth. We've all met people who make us feel crowded, even when we're together, conversations that skim the surface, interactions that feel like performances, smiles that are more habit than warmth. And yet, when we meet someone who really sees us, someone who listens not just to respond but to understand, it's like a window opens, a space where we can exhale, a space where we can show up messy, tired, unsure, and still be met with kindness, not judgment. That's the power of real connection. It doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't keep score. It's not transactional. It says you're enough, just as you are, and it means it. Friendship built on genuine understanding creates a shelter, a place where you can put your armor down, and that kind of safety is worth more than 100 casual contacts. Often we chase numbers out of fear, fear of missing out, fear of being left behind, fear that having fewer people around us means we're failing at something essential. But the truth is, some of the most fulfilled people in the world can count their close friends on one hand, and that's not a loss, it's a gift, because depth always outlasts width. One real connection can carry us through storms that a crowd wouldn't even notice we were in. There is a kind of loneliness that comes from being misunderstood in a room full of people, and then there is a peace that comes from being truly known by just one person, the friend who doesn't need an explanation, the one who doesn't flinch when you cry, the one who notices when your voice gets quiet and gently says, "Talk to me," the one who remembers what matters to you, who celebrates your wins and sits beside your grief without trying to fix it. Genuine friendship doesn't demand performance, it allows rest. It says you don't have to entertain me, you don't have to impress me, you don't have to be anything today but real. That kind of connection can't be bought, and it certainly can't be faked. It takes time, yes, it takes courage, vulnerability, effort, but it also gives more than it takes. When friendship is real, it becomes a mirror. It reflects who we are at our best, and still holds us when we're at our worst. It challenges us gently, not with cruelty but with care. It says the hard things when we need them, and sits in the silence when words would be too much. It grows with us, it adapts, it forgives, it remembers, and when we drift as life sometimes pulls us in different directions, it knows how to find its way back. Friendship based on understanding doesn't need constant attention to survive. There can be months of silence, and still a deep knowing when you meet again, because it was never about how often you spoke, it was about how well you knew each other, about the foundation that was built slowly, honestly, patiently. Too often we invest our energy trying to keep up with people who wouldn't notice if we stopped reaching out. We hold on to relationships out of obligation or habit, not connection, and in doing so, we leave little space for the friendships that could truly change us. It's not about shutting people out, it's about choosing with intention, about asking ourselves, does this person truly see me? Do they value me as I am? And being willing to walk away from connections that only take, but never give. Genuine friendship doesn't mean constant agreement, it allows for difference, it honors truth, it can hold conflict without breaking, because the understanding underneath is strong enough to carry the weight. It allows us to show up fully, not just the polished version we present to the world. And this kind of friendship isn't reserved for a lucky few, it's available to anyone who dares to be honest, anyone who's willing to listen deeply, speak truthfully, and stay present when things get uncomfortable. It doesn't require a perfect personality or a charming story. It only asks that we show up with sincerity. Sometimes the first step to finding genuine connection is slowing down, creating room in our lives for meaningful conversation, choosing to be intentional with our time and energy, saying no to shallow noise, so we can say yes to deeper bonds. And sometimes it's about being the friend we wish we had, offering understanding first, showing up first, seeing someone else when they feel invisible, because in the end we all want the same thing: to be known, to be valued, to feel that our presence matters to someone else. And that feeling won't come from how many people we can call acquaintances, it will come from the few who love us, not despite our flaws, but including them. So no, it's not about how many friends you have, it's about how many know your heart, how many you can sit with in quiet moments without the need to fill space, how many remind you simply by being there that you're not alone. That is friendship, that is enough. Every woman deserves to be seen, heard, and valued, regardless of how many friends she has. There's a quiet, often overlooked truth that lingers beneath the surface of many lives. Not every woman is surrounded by a close circle of friends. Some walk through life more alone than others, not by choice, but by circumstance, by hurt, by repeated exclusion, and yet their value is not lessened by their solitude. Their worth is not measured by the number of people who show up for them on birthdays, nor by how many people text them good morning. A woman's voice, her story, her presence, her soul, these things matter whether she walks with a crowd or stands alone. Society is quick to celebrate the socially vibrant woman, the one with plans every weekend tagged in every photo, the one whose laughter seems to light up every room. And while that woman is worthy, so is the one who quietly endures, the one who shows up for work each day with no one to share her lunch break with, the one who celebrates her small victories alone, the one who hears people talk about sisterhood, about lifelong friendships, and wonders why that never happened for her. She may not be in your group photo, but she carries stories, memories, wisdom, and pain worth listening to. Being seen isn't just about having an audience, it's about being acknowledged as a whole human being. It's having someone look you in the eyes and recognize your existence beyond the roles you play, beyond being a worker, a mother, a helper, a face in the background. Being heard means your thoughts are not dismissed, your opinions are not brushed off, your feelings are not minimized, and being valued means you are not just tolerated, but appreciated, not only included but embraced. A woman without friends is often subjected to subtle judgments. People wonder what's wrong with her, rarely considering what she's lived through. They see her quietness and mistake it for coldness. They see her absence from social events and assume she's uninterested, but the truth is often more complex. Perhaps she trusted once and was hurt deeply. Perhaps she tried to belong and was repeatedly left out. Perhaps life shifted, moves, deaths, divorces, illnesses, and somehow the people she once held dear slipped away. Her isolation may not be a choice, but a wound, yet even in that space her worth is untouched. The number of people who call her friend does not define the beauty of her spirit. Some of the most compassionate, insightful, resilient women carry their strength alone. They've learned to comfort themselves in silence, to navigate the world without a safety net, and while the world may not always notice them, their presence is no less powerful. There is something deeply human about the need to be witnessed, not in the performative way that social media often encourages, but in the honest, sacred way that says, I see you, I care that you're here. Every woman deserves that kind of witnessing. It should not depend on how likable she is, how sociable, how easy to talk to. It should not be earned by performance. It should be offered freely because every life has value. Some women are naturally introverted. They find peace in solitude and don't seek crowds. Others long for connection, but haven't yet found it in forms that feel real. Neither is more deserving than the other. Whether a woman has one close friend or none, a bustling social calendar, or quiet evenings alone, she is still worthy of love, support, and respect. Her loneliness, if she feels it, doesn't make her broken, it makes her human. When we begin to understand that every woman's path looks different, we become more compassionate. We stop assuming that social success equals emotional fulfillment. We begin to ask better questions, not why doesn't she have more friends, but what kind of connection would nourish her soul. Not why is she always alone, but how can I make space for her story. It's not our job to fix anyone's life, but it is our responsibility to expand our view of whose stories matter. We often forget that even the smallest gestures can affirm someone's worth. A sincere hello, a seat saved, a message sent. These things say, you are not invisible, and while they may not instantly create deep friendships, they create the foundation for trust, which is where all real connection begins. Women who have gone unnoticed for too long often carry a cautious heart. They do not trust easily. They've learned to expect silence, but with consistency and kindness, that silence can begin to crack open. Valuing someone means honoring their reality. If a woman shares her loneliness, it's not for pity, it's for understanding. If she keeps to herself, it might not be rejection, it might be protection. When we look at her through a lens of curiosity instead of judgment, compassion instead of assumption, we begin to truly see her, not as a puzzle to be solved, or a project to be fixed, but as a whole person with a history we may never fully know. We must remember that worth is inherent. It is not up for debate. Every woman, regardless of her social life, her popularity, or her level of visibility, is a living archive of dreams, memories, fears, and hope. She matters in the quiet, in the shadows, in the spaces the world forgets to look. She deserves friendships that nourish, yes, but even in their absence, she deserves dignity. So let us hold space for the woman with no friends, not with pity, but with reverence. Let us speak to her, listen to her, learn from her. Let us remind her, and ourselves, that presence is not dependent on popularity, and value is not measured in how many hands reach for you. It's measured in how deeply you live, how honestly you feel, how gently you move through a world that sometimes forgets to look your way. Because every woman deserves to be seen, every voice deserves to be heard, every heart deserves to know it matters, no matter how many people gather around it.